In the figure, if the area of triangular region D is 4, what is the length of a side of square region A? And before we proceed to the statements, I'll point out that this is a relatively famous diagram in geometry. This is demonstrating the areas of the Pythagorean theorem. We know that, let's call these sides B, C, and A. We know that C squared plus B squared equals A squared. And of course, what we have here is square B, square C, and if we added those two areas together, we'd get square A. So this is a famous diagram in geometry, and there's an intimate connection to the Pythagorean theorem, which we suspect will be involved as part of this problem. So statement number 1 tells us that the area of square B is 9. Well, if the area of square B is 9, then the side of B is 3. Well, that's interesting because we have this triangle that has an area of 4, and if this side is 3, then we could figure out the base of this triangle, because 1/2 base times 3 would have to equal 4. Once we figured out the base of the triangle, then of course we'd know both legs of the right triangle and would be able to use the Pythagorean theorem to find out the hypotenuse, and the hypotenuse of that triangle is the side of square A. That's the very thing we're looking for. So it turns out that if we knew the area of square B, we can figure out the length of side A. So this statement is sufficient by itself. Now forget that statement, move on to statement number 2. Statement number 2 tells us the area of region C is 64/9. So the side of C would be 8/3. Well, again, the same process. Now we have a triangle. We know that this side down here is 8/3. And we know that its area is 4. So 1/2 base, which is 8/3, times height equals 4. We could find the height. And once we found that height, we'd know two legs of a right triangle. And once we know two legs of a right triangle, we can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the hypotenuse, and of course that's what the question is asking for. So this statement by itself is also 100% sufficient. Both statements are sufficient. Answer choice D.